We've just recently begun the story of King Vispascit. He was a very powerful and popular king with a big kingdom, and it suddenly fell. It was attacked on all sides and laid waste. And what King Vispascit did was he went and had a bath and then made an offering to the fire god. And that offering was his own head. He cut off his own head and offered his head to the fire god. And as a result of this offering, he split into four powerful warriors. And this is what happened next. Vasistha continued. The king in his four forms proceeded in the four directions on the battlefield. He saw that his army was much weaker than the enemy's well-prepared and well-equipped army. He contemplated. The sage Agastya drunk the ocean. I should become another Agastya now and dry up this ocean of the enemy forces. The sage Agastya was one of the great siddhas. And when the gods were fighting the demons took refuge in the sea, and the gods came to Agastya and asked him to help, whereupon Agastya drank all the waters of the oceans, thus exposing the demons. So this is the kind of being that King Vispascit must now become. He thought of the wind missile, which instantly reached him. He once again saluted and offered a prayer on behalf of his subjects, and directed the missile at the enemy forces. Instantly there were rivers of missiles and weapons everywhere. The gale that blew resembled the winds of cosmic dissolution. Surely enough, by the power of the missile, the enemy forces were reduced to nothing very soon. The wind missile also caused torrential rains, gale-force winds and dense dark clouds. The different units of the enemy army fled in different directions. The Chedi army, from the land of pearls and snakes, fled in a southerly direction. The Parsis perished in the forest known as Vandula. The Darada soldiers hid themselves in caves. The Dasharna warriors, who went into the nearby forests, were killed by the lions there. The warriors from Shaka territory could not bear the missiles made of iron, and they ran trembling in fear. The forces of Tungana, whose colour was golden, were robbed by robbers of their clothes, and then they were eaten up by demons. The survivors in the enemy army hid themselves in the mountain known as Sahyadri, and rested for a period of 7 days. Their wounds were attended to by the Celestials, the Vijayadhara women, who were from the territory known as Gandhara. The warriors from Hulna, China and Karata had suffered dreadful disfigurement from the missiles of the King Vispascit. Even the trees were frightened of the king's power and stood still for a very long time, even after the war. The air force of Vidura territory was caught up in the winds and crashed into the lakes. The infantry could not even run on account of the blinding rain that fell. The Hunas who fled to the north were caught up in the quicksands and perished. The Shakas who fled to the east were caught and imprisoned by the king for 1 day and then released. The soldiers from the Mandara territory climbed up the Mahendra mountain to seek a refuge. They literally dragged themselves up little by little, and then fell near the hermitage of sages who served them with food, drink, etc. They climbed the hill for the purpose of avoiding death on the battlefield and of begging for food. But they got from the cave of the gods 2 things: immediate safety and the company of sages, which ensures permanent peace. Good follows evil sometimes by accidental coincidence. And again we're reminded of the crow alighting on the coconut tree and a coconut falling. There isn't any reason for good to follow evil. It just sometimes happens. It's not the result of karma or anything. The Dasharna soldiers accidentally ate poison and died. The Hihaya soldiers accidentally ate a healing herb, which turned them into celestials with the ability to fly in the air. So we've got a lot of characters, a lot of players in this drama, and you wonder if this was actually referring to a real battle, or has got elements of a battle which actually happened. But let's press on. Vasistha continued. Thus pursuing their fleeing enemies, the 4 kings, which were Vispascit, had traversed a long, long distance. Impelled by the indwelling consciousness which is omnipotent, they had embarked on a campaign for the conquest of the world, known as digvijaya. So once started, there was no stopping this seemingly unstoppable force. For a considerable distance they were accompanied by their own forces. As they were marching without rest or respite, these forces and their equipment, as also the forces of the enemy which they pursued, weakened and perished. The missiles that the kings had also ceased to be effective, just as fire is quenched after burning all its fuel. The 4 kings, going in the 4 different directions, were met by huge oceans. The remaining missiles that they had fell into mud created by the terrible rain that fell, and they disintegrated. The 4 brothers beheld that limitless ocean with great wonder. So it seems that this war had played itself out, and now, going in all 4 directions, the 4 aspects of King Vispascit reached the ocean, and we're told in parenthesis by the translator that there follows a highly poetic description of the ocean. The king's ministers who had followed them on this expedition pointed out to the kings the various beautiful sights, the forests, the trees, the oceans, the mountains, the clouds, and also the hill tribes. And again we're told there's a poetic description of all these in the text. And now that the battle is over, now that things are calming down, now scenes of beauty and of interest are being pointed out, we come back to consciousness. We are reminded once again of consciousness. Just as Brahman, though one, appears to be divided into diversity, and though infinite appears to have created this finite and perishable world, even so this ocean, though one, appears to be divided into several oceans, and it appears to be both eternal and the transient waves. The ministers pointed to more oceans and said, Lord, here in this ocean, Lord Narayana rests. Here in the other ocean, his enemies the demons lie hidden. In that other ocean, mountains lie hidden. Beneath this ocean there is the cosmic fire of unimaginable heat, along with the clouds of cosmic dissolution. How wonderful it is that this ocean is so vast, so firmly established, and able to support so much of burden. And you get the impression it's actually more than simply a body of water that's being spoken of here. Look at the moon. As it rises on the eastern horizon, it spreads its soft light everywhere, and thus brings auspiciousness to all, ridding all of their fear of darkness and night. But even this moon is tainted with dark spots. When such is the case with these celestial bodies, what can we call an untainted object in this world? What shall we call good and excellent in this world, which time or fate will not tarnish in the twinkling of an eye? Surely there is no such thing on earth. So after having achieved supreme victory, and after contemplating the wonders that are presented to the senses, it's realized that there is nothing which is not untainted in what the senses present to us.